As we are embarking on the fourth quarter, we're actually in the fourth quarter of the year. One of the things that I personally am adamant about is going into the new year prepared. And oftentimes we feel like we are reactionary, and by the time February comes, it's like, oh, I want to do over for January. Like, let's just start this over again. And as much as I thought I prepared for the new year, it feels like January has always been my training ground to propel me for the remainder of the year. And I wanted to do something different this year. I really wanted to make sure that at the top of November, as we're going into our consecration and as we're preparing to bring in a new year, that not only are we mentally prepared, physically prepared, spiritually prepared, but are we strategically prepared? And the only way to find out and be able to prepare for a moment is to create it. So this is what this moment is. It is a cultivated moment of greatness in my eyes, that we are making sure that 2024 is fail proof, and that you have the tools that you need to succeed in every area, not just in a get by spirit, but excel. And I asked the people that I thought, when I look at their lives and heard their conversations and how they motivate me, that the people that you sit on this panel have the tools to take us to a place of acceleration and take us to a place of greatness. And thank you for giving us the most precious thing you have today, which is your time. Um,
Before we make
and anytime we get to sit down and we hear from our leader, to me, he's not Bishop Wright today. To me, he's Dr. Wright today. And we get to pull on the gift that he uses outside of the pulpit. And I'm grateful to hear from him, to glean from him. And my goal, my personal motto, your watch talking to me? That was Mr. Otis. Mr. Otis, you sending her signals on this watch over here. My motto for 2024, my personal motto for 2024 is here I grow again. Because I am determined in 2024 not to get stuck in any area of my life. And I plan on getting my t-shirts, my hats, my folders, everything to remind me, here I grow again. So I'm going to just ask each of the panelists up here just to briefly introduce yourself to some and represent yourself to others, because sometimes we get so familiar with faces that we forget who the people, the expertise behind the name. So reintroduce yourself. And we are live. We are streaming because I believe that there's going to be some vital information shared today. And I want our memory bank does not have the capacity to remember it all. And if you like me, you take notes and go back to them like, what did I mean when I said that? And now you have a resource to go back to the video to watch it if there's something that captured your heart, igniting a flame within, and it's going to strengthen the things that remain if you keep hearing it over and over and over again. So without further ado, we'll start with you, Tashika. Can you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, everybody. Can you hear me? Okay, I think we're good, Bishop, now. Hello, everybody. How are you?
good, good.
Good, good. And I always say, how are you feeling? Because when I say, how are you doing, you usually tell people what you're doing. But when you say feeling, you really give yourself emotions to feel. So how are you feeling today?
Oh,
Absolutely,
Oh,
absolutely.
I feel like, oh, sorry, you heard about that. Oh.
Absolutely. Again, my name is Tashika Green, and I'm sitting on the platform today as the CEO and founder of To Everything There Is a Season, where we provide leadership, educational, professional, and personal coaching to help you to discover your talents, your skills, and maximize that to your greatest performance. So I'm Dr. Tashika Green, President and CEO of To Everything There's a Season.
Amen.
Amen. Well, praise the Lord, everybody. I'm her husband. Never mind all those other things she say. Dr. Wright, yeah. Take out the trash, walk the dog, get your shoes out the floor, put your towel up in the bathroom. I'm that guy. Honored to be here. You know me. Carry on.
I'm Marcy Thompson, and by day I am the Chief of Strategy and Growth for a marketing organization, and I lead workforce development for adults, and my clients are the people who literally build the world, architects, engineers, and construction firms. So I help them help their people.
Ooh.
My clients are the
Loan
people
me
that
five
build the
loan me $5.
world.
Loan me $5.
Yes.
Loan me $5. Hey, Mr. O, loan me $5.
With that bio, give me $5. Thank
Smart,
you, thank you,
smart,
thank you.
smart,
And you know, as you
smart.
all know, my name is Nakia Wright. I am I'm honored to be his partner in life. That's my boo. He make my knees weak when he wear that baby blue suit, child. Come on now, hey, come on. We about to go to the prom. I'm here to tell y'all. Don't call us when we leave here. I want to start out with a very important question. Bishop, I'm actually going to start with you because y'all, I'm going to get Bishop out the way, you know, because he don't have to come behind us. But, and this is something that sometimes paralyzes us or give us just give us a little bit of fear that when you hear a new year is approaching, what does that mean to you?
I am a few things by education. I am a systematic theologian, but um, I'm also a clinician in psychology, and the latter I usually keep quiet because my passion is for the kingdom of God. That being said, I want to lean on the first to explain the second, meaning I want to begin with God and just give an explanation to the question. I like to think that everything begins with Him. And so I have learned, it wasn't always easy, but I have learned from mistakes and disappointments and failures and failures and failures. And those failures don't mean natural. It means failure to trust, failure to move ahead, failure to be obedient to the plan for my own personal life. And then God has to come and catch me by the hand and say, okay, you're behind. And so what I have learned is that when God begins something new, the new is His signal that the old is over. We feel sometimes the old is not over because we didn't accomplish everything we wanted. Whether it's with your finances, your marriage, your children, your business, whatever. Businesses move on, children grow up, your marriages find different stages, your singleness finds different stages. And so what happens is when something new begins, we fail to step in the new because we feel like the old didn't manifest the way that we thought we could have done our best. But if God starts something new, then perhaps He's thinking that you did your best. Your best is not always, I learned in school that your best is not always an A grade. Sometimes your best is just a C plus, but it was your best. Okay, and once you've done your best, and it's a genuine my best. It wasn't I looked on somebody else's paper and I cheated. No, when you've done your best with the situation, God looks at your heart and not your grade. Okay, and then you move on, and He opens up something. He opens up a door. He always does. He opens up a door for your next. One of the things that, in the interest of transparency, one of the things that frustrates me is sometimes they come into this building and I'm like, Lord, okay, you keep making me promises, and that's all I want to say about that. But the question is, have I done my best here? As a pastor, have I done my best here? We really haven't been in this building as long as you might think, because we spent 3 years in the brown chair in the pandemic. So did I do my best in the brown chair in the pandemic? Did I do my best to keep the saints alive with hope and vision and inspiration and health and finance and promise? So the question is, in every season, have you done your best so God can move you to your next? And when he opens the door to your next, then disobedience is hanging. Let me say it this way. One of the things that I've adopted for myself is that it's a terrible thing to be where God was. So if you're still hanging around your history and he's pulling you to your destiny, then he's through with where you was, because evidently he was comfortable with your best. And my best may not be like her best. You know, I could write you a letter and you go, this can't be the penmanship of an educated man. My T's go all the way up here and my S's down here. If you could read my handwriting, you were clear I was a real doctor.
Truth.
But I'm doing my best. The question is, did you get the message off the page rather than the penmanship?
That's good.
And so I always attempt to move into the next year thinking that if God gave me a next year, that something in this year that I really tried to do was my best. And so that's why, as a pastor, I fast the month of December. The last thing I'm going to say, I fast the month of December, and it was good advice. I used to fast in January, and the Lord told me to stop coming in the year behind me. Whatever you need to settle it so we can go into the new year fresh. Don't come in behind him. Settle it, because January 1 begins something new. And if you adopt that as a mindset that January 1 is fresh to God, and if it's fresh to God, it should be fresh to me.
That is a great word, sir. Thank you. And the thing that we're going to talk about a little later in our panel is how to remove the chokehold of history in order to walk into the new year feeling like it's a fresh year. We have to renew our mind, because what Bishop said is so good. And we're in here saying, oh, that was so good. And then when January 1st comes, I'm still in bondage of what I didn't complete in 2023. How do I loose myself of the bondage of what I did not achieve? Or how do I loose myself of the victories that I achieved? And I'm so high off of the victories of 2023, I get complacent in 2024. So let's talk about it. Marcy, when you hear that a new year is coming, that, you know, I'm preparing for Thanksgiving, I'm gearing up for the fast, what am I going to do in 2024? What do you think about?
So I'm conflicted, transparently. So as we head in, so we're in Q4, and this is the time. So I love this. Perfect timing. I reflect on the things that I did, that I planned to do, the things that worked, and I allow myself to celebrate the wins. I've become more purposeful in that, like pausing and acknowledging and celebrating, right? Yeah. But the conflict comes in because reflection goes both ways. Yeah. And so I also think about the 12 things I didn't do, or how much debt I left on my credit card that I said I was going to clear. I mean, just the practical things that at the end of the year that you think you should measure, right? And again, sometimes we measure ourselves harder than we should. Well, I will speak for myself. I hold myself to a very hard standard. Guilty. And I'm conflicted. So there is joy to hit the restart. Like, there is some joy attached to 2024. It's just like, the clock going to click, and I'm going to be like, that's over, right? And then there is the reality of, how do I reconcile what wasn't done? How do I reconcile the areas I didn't influence? how do I reconcile the moments that were within my control? Like, I am not talking about the things outside of our control. I'm talking about how do I reconcile the fact that my stubbornness kept me from doing the thing God said do? And so that's a point of reflection that, is worked out in the fast. Thank you, Jesus. I mean, truthfully, like, I start early. My birthday is in October, so I start working on it. It's like, okay, these 7 things, you need to lay that on the altar and leave it there this time. But I'm conflicted. So and I allow myself balance. I just allow myself to feel both things, to celebrate the fact that January 1, I get a fresh start in some things. And then to be self-aware enough to say, my future is worth my change. So not just escaping what I didn't do, but like holding myself accountable to the mess, like your own mess. You know that you didn't do the things. And so, hold yourself accountable. And so that's the rub for me. I hope that.
No, that's very good. And one of the things that Laura did, we make copies of the form that Charmy and I worked on yesterday. Did you get that flyer from Charmy? Okay, can we make sure we print those things out? Because one thing Marcy said, which is going to be a takeaway for a resource, is that I challenge everyone in this room to do their own personal SWOT analysis. Sit down and find out what your strengths are, what your weaknesses are, what were some of your opportunities that you missed up, and what were some of the threats, what were some of the things that held you back from being the best you that you can be. And that is one of the many takeaways that you're going to get today. I want us all to do our own personal SWOT analysis, because the one thing that takes you into the new year fresh is self-reflection. Just like she said, and giving yourself balance. We excelled at some things, but we epically, intentionally failed at others. And some things that we're walking into the new year is a continuation year after year that we failed at, or we didn't meet the mark, and we're okay with not meeting the same mark every year. Like, something in us should be rubbed the wrong way, and it should push us that we make a promise to ourselves, like, God, 10 toes down. With everything in me, I'm not going to keep leaving this undone every year.
I'm going to throw my axe.
I'm going to throw my axe. Yes, Bishop. Yes. I'm going to throw my axe. Yeah. If you didn't hear it, if you want to know what Bishop's talking about, please go to our YouTube page and listen to last night's prayer. Last night's prayer was amazing. Yes. Sheikah, tell me, when you're going into one year, entering to another, to me it felt like a fresh notebook. Do y'all know what it feel like? They have a brand new notebook that you've never written in before. Oh my gosh, that fresh paper feels like a new beginning. It's like vacuum cleaner lines in the carpet. It's something about the freshness of it, right? So Sheikah, please share with us.
Okay, so as I was thinking about that word new, and Bishop, you ended it and said January 1st. Every day I go in and I'm thinking, today is my January 1st. Today is my January 1st. Today is my new day of creative thoughts, creative ideas, great expectations, a new day of courage, a new day of wisdom. I look at every day as my January 1st. But when I look at that word new, I don't look at it as something new, but I look at how do I coherently take those things that I already have, that I've already been prepared for, and use that for my success. And I do that through cultivating a rhythm of reflection, because reflection is not just what you experience, but it's reflecting on what you experience and learn from those principles. And so one thing that I do is I always reflect in the aspect of, Tashika, what did you do this year? How did you help? How did you make things go right? How did you even hinder, not just yourself, but somebody else? And then I start to assess and I adjust, and I look at it, what will I continue to do? What will I stop doing? What will I start doing so that I can get to the end result of those desirable outcomes that I've set for the year? And we're going to talk about this a little later, but as you think about, how do you plan for the new year, I look at planning more as, and we're going to talk about the strategy that we put in place. So you could have a plan, but what is that strategy you put in place to get there? And so when I think about all of those aspects and really look at how do I coherently bring everything together that I've already have, that God has taught me, that has prepared me, how do I take that reflection, think about what I did and how to make it right and what I need to really stop doing. And what is it that, when you think about procrastination, like, did I really procrastinate, or was there an emotion attached to it because I was procrastinating? Was it fear attached to it? Was it worried attached to it? Was it doubt attached to it? Thinking about what emotion was attached to why I did not deliver this year. And one thing that I actually do, I do vision boards, but I do more action boards than I do vision, because we don't want to be vision rich and execution poor. And so I changed it from vision board.
Repeat that
I
again.
don't want to be vision rich and execution poor. So I took my vision boards and now I do action boards. And Marcy started talking about this a little bit, that I break it into quarters. Quarter 1, this is what I want to do. Quarter 2, quarter 3, quarter 4. And I execute those actions that I put in place when I think about a new year. And so that's exactly what I do. And in everything, just really thinking about what hindered me this year. And when I said the vision and the action, so often we create these vision boards, and when we create them, if it don't happen, we go on, we create something new. No, I go back and get that, because God created us to be visionary. So if he gave it to me, it's going to happen. It just may not happen in my timing. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to get that, and I'm going to work on it again this year and learn from what I didn't do to make it better this year. And so that's how I plan for a new year.
That is so, so, so good. One thing that Sheikah said that we sometimes do is that when we try a thing and it doesn't succeed, we don't realize that the goal does not change. The destination of how to get here does. So what we have to do is tap into our creative minds to figure out, all right, I tried it this way. It didn't work. But there is a new idea in me. We have to constantly keep evolving our way of doing a thing until we do, because we all have one purpose. And how we get there, God gives us instructions every week, every Wednesday. Every Friday is our motivation and our foundation. Every Sunday. Like, we have the instructions and the motivation and the wherewithal to do it, but we just have to apply it. You said something. We are not knowledge poor in this house. As a matter of fact, I'm looking for my master, my PhD. Like, why this stuff not on my wall? Because I sit underneath you. I've already mastered the courses. I've already been through the training. Now I want to start seeing the manifestation of what I trained for. And consistency is the key to success. One of the things that I know has been a hindrance in my life at one point in time is that I plan my whole year out. Like, this is what I want to see happen. Like, I'm ready. It's finally going to happen. And then it don't. And I'm looking at March like February done went by. January has gone by. And the things that I was excited about, my light is starting to dim because I don't see the manifestation of the newness that I thought the new year would bring in. And so in March, I'm in La La Land because the winter months didn't look anything the way I thought it was. So I'm coasting through the spring. And by the time the summer get here, I'm ready to have fun, and I don't want to adult. I'm tired of adulting. I just want to just have a good time right now. I'm over it. And here I'm back in the fourth quarter of life trying to prepare for the new year. So, Bishop, what advice can you give that after you went into a year prepared, your plans failed, and you got to begin again? Like, how do you mentally break the cycle of broken and adopt the cycle, adopt the commitment of this is the last time I'm going to live in again?
There's a common theme, and I always I have pastors that always check me and go, how'd you get that out of that text? And one of my skill sets that I didn't know I had until later in life is that I always try to read between the lines. And so see Mike play with his dog, see Mike take his dog down to the park, and I want to ask the question, how'd they get to the park? Did they walk? Did they drive? I try to read between the lines. What I hear is a common theme right here is, I think each one of you said it without saying it to me, I'm reading between the lines, is plans and emotions. And when you make plans and they don't go well, how do you emotionally recover? And so that spirit of the frustration and the anxiety and, well, what else am I supposed to do when I did it the right way? I did it the right way and it didn't work. They did it the wrong way and it worked. And we get emotionally unbalanced in our destiny. And if it didn't go well, we feel a certain kind of way rather than to feel like trying it another way. And so one of the keys to success, it happened in our lifetime. We saw President Barack Obama walk through this, whether you are politically pro or con, it doesn't really matter. But as tearing down a glass ceiling, he had people in high places say so many bad things about his biracial heritage. And he just stayed the course and did the job. Success means that you have to overcome your emotions to carry out the assignment. You never saw him on CNN kirking out. He didn't fuss back at these governors. He just said, look, okay, how are we going to feed these people? How are we going to do this? So one of the things that I think that is major for us is to determine, am I feeling like this is working for me, or are my emotions betraying me and bringing up my history? Because when it doesn't go right, we reflect on the pain that wrong used to cause. When I say pain, I mean the disappointment, the negative emotions you have. And so managing your emotions, managing your vision board, managing your corporate world, you're not going to go to your vision board and say, Q2 was good. You're not going to go to your meeting and go, Oklahoma went sour, but Boston was great. Managing your emotions is going to be the key to success. It always is. It always is. In my mind, when I'm saying things like that, I'm saying when David went to Goliath, he could have said, man, I'm going to let you stay out here and kill him because his brothers already beefed with him. Who'd you leave your few little ewe lambs with? But he managed the emotions of family disappointment to handle a greater cause. So the question is, will we manage our emotions for a greater cause? Which means, in the grown-up sense, you have to take the hit to be successful. His father disappointed him. His brothers disappointed him. But he wasn't there representing any of them. He knew who he was there representing. And so you have to choose that I'm representing my vision, my success, my call, my purpose. And if I allow what I perceive to be failure, if I allow failure to win, then it's just that simple. I lose.
If I allow failure to win, I lose. Oh, my goodness. Oh, you dropped the mic? You done? No. Bishop, that was so good. Managing emotions. I believe that is probably one of the ancient of times things that many of us have failed to do time and time again. But I'm here to say, don't stop trying. Grow tough skin. Don't be easily offended. By your own mind. That is it. That's it, Bishop. That is the truth. And give yourself grace. But don't give yourself so much grace that you give yourself a pass. Because everyone in this room has a purpose, and you have to find the purpose. Coming to church every week is not your purpose. Outside of sitting in these walls, what are you doing to glorify, to magnify the kingdom of God, to share the gospel, to make the world a better place, to make sure that your legacy is intact, to make sure that the people coming behind you do not have to fight the same things that you fought? How are you doing that?
Could I say something?
Please.
Just And sometimes failure is not failure. Sometimes the failure for or the, sometimes the thing doesn't happen because it's not the wrong idea, it's the wrong season.
That's good, Bishop.
Sometimes you'll get a great idea in July and you think you're supposed to do it before January, but it's really for next June. And so if you try it now and it doesn't happen, we go, well, I tried that and it didn't work. It didn't work because it wasn't the right season. It was the right idea, the right person, and it's for your life. It was just premature. So is that failure or a learning lesson to recognize timing?
That's good.
All failure is not failure. It just wasn't time.
It just wasn't time. Okay, so we're not using failure in this room. We're losing lessons. That's the word. These were lessons to propel me to success. Sheikah, let's talk about how do you strategically prepare for a new year? What are some of the things that you put in place to make sure that we're not fasting in January and should have been fasting in December? Like, what do you put in place to come into the year prepared?
Strategic, right? So when I think of the word strategic, I really think that it's basically this integrated choices that you make to collectively set up your future so that it can sustain some results that lead to premier return. That's how I look at it, right? So when I think
Results that lead to premier return.
So basically I say this, that I play to win. And Bishop just said it, that when I plan strategically, my strategy is to win or learn, never lose. It's to lead with culture, and I define culture as the predominant norms, values, and beliefs that drive your behavior, going back to purpose. To create value, always to add to, never to take from. To expand my network, because my network is going to increase my net worth, which is going to increase my revenue. No longer income, but my revenue. And then I think about, how am I going to do all of this? How is it going to lead to these premier results? And Elder D actually opened it up with prayer and said, God, help us to create God-filled action plans. Amen. And so when I think about that, I think about my strategy is really through a God-filled action plan. That first, I just sit still. When you look at the last quarter, I always just use that as a quiet time, because your rest today is going to empower you for tomorrow. Amen. And so I sit still and I get quiet. I really seek what's God's will for me in this next hour. What is God's will? And I make that space to hear him, to speak to me. And then after I sit there, I literally have every year, I have just what I call messages from the mountain. And I start to actually put down what God is saying for me to do within that year. And then after I sit still, seek his will, and make that space for God to speak to me, then I make sure that my goals and my actions speak his purpose. And you started to talk about this, that we know that
I'm trying to figure out how you get this direct connect with God. He's telling you what to do for the year, goals. And
absolutely.
I mean, listen,
I do nothing.
Now.
I do nothing. And
Bishop, I'm not calling you. My
husband is a, and my husband is a witness to that. My husband is a witness, because when I go out every day to meet with my clients or these organizations, he said, "Are you going out to work?" No, I'm not. I'm going on an assignment. Because I think you said this last night, Bishop, that my main goal is to make God proud. I want to be a God pleaser, and that's it. I want to make him proud. I want to be a God pleaser, and when he finds me, that I'm loyal to the assignment that he told me. I don't want him to find me over here when you told me to be here. So this is strategically what I do. This is what Tashika does. And then after I make sure that my plans and my actions speak his purpose, and I tell people when I go into a room or anywhere, I say this clearly: education is my calling, teaching is my gift, inspiring is my passion, and serving is my purpose. And I'm here to help you and to make things go right. And everything that I do, make sure it aligns with that. And you said this, Bishop, success comes when your actions and your plans align with the truth of who you are. And when you understand your why, because when you understand your why, you don't have time for distractions. You don't have time for discouragement. You don't have time to be detoured anymore. And this comes from learning. This comes from learning someone who was brought into a room in 2018 and basically in 5 minutes said, Deuces, you have two choices, to reapply for your job or you can leave. Making six figures at an executive level decision, choice. And I had to really grow up in my faith really quick and understand that, Tashika, this was a violent interruption of your life to align you back to the purpose and plan for God.
Interruption.
And so I had to get back because I wasn't doing God's plan. So when I learned the principle, I'm going to teach the lesson so that you don't have to repeat the cycle that I did, that it was no longer my plan anymore, that it had to be the plan of God. So after I did that, everything I do, I commit to him. It says, commit the works to the Lord and he shall establish your plan, right? Your plan shall establish. So everything I do, I commit to God. If I ever put an I in front of anything I say, I said, hold up now. You didn't create this. God did. God is my business partner. God is the one that provided for me. And so I commit everything, my actions, my thoughts, my ways, everything to him. And then after that, I seek counsel. Because I can't do this by myself, right? Because without counsel, what happened? Plans fail. But with many advisors, what? They succeed. So I seek people with wisdom like Bishop. I seek people like Marcy that has mastered her craft. I seek people that are even going to challenge me to not be mediocre, to not settle, because I don't serve a mediocre God. So he's great. I'm going to be great. And that's what he's pulling me to so that I can get those superior returns. And the last thing, you said this, do understand your strengths. And that's a key. Understand your strengths. Your strengths also can be identified as your talents. Your talents are simply those innately things that you're able to do. It is different from your skill because your skill is what you practice and what you learn. But your talent are those innate things that you have that was given to you and born to you. So I understood that when I talk about my talents, Lady Nakia, I have 5 top ones that I have. And it's not even what people think. It's belief. It's maximizer, strategic, achiever, and discipline. And when I think about that and I think about the work I do, you have to understand your talents, then you have to invest in it. And invest simply means I have to develop it and it becomes your strength. So that when I go out and I do the things that I do for the people that I serve, then I'm using my belief. I'm using my core values, Bishop, to basically say why I believe what I believe. Yeah. I use my maximizer so that I just said that I'm going to help you to discover your potential. And everybody knows I'm an educator, so I'm going to help you to discover your potential because guess what? You impact those students. And so let's discover what's on the inside of you and maximize that so we can get the results that we need. Strategic, it's got to be a way. What are those systems, structures, resources, and the stakeholders, the people that you need in your life, the systems you need to set up in your life, the structures and the resources you need to carry out those plans. And so when I understood my talents in its entirety and I invested and started developing them and they became my strength, then I learned that, hey, you can plan better according to the things that you can do. And sometimes what had happened was that I was trying to be what you wanted me to be rather than to be what God had created me to be. And then when I realized that I'm not casting my pearls to swine, I'm not conforming and compromising, then I'm going to do what God says because remember, I sought him. Now my purpose aligns with the work. I'm committing everything that I do to him, and then I'm going to seek the counsel that I need so that I can fulfill this plan. And so simply, again, I just say this all the time that I just want to be found loyal to the assignment. Where God tells me to go. I remember in February when I had my car collision, 4-car collision, walked away with nothing, thank you, Jesus. Nothing but some little aches and pains, totaled the car. My husband came, actually Apple called him and told him your wife just crashed on his watch. He found out where I was and came, and when he came, he said, where do you want to go? And I said, just drive. I'm going to tell you where I want to go. We drive. He had no idea. Where do you want to go? Thinking you want to go to the hospital, you want to go home, where you want to go? We ended up in a school parking lot. He said, where are you going to do a walkthrough? I can go home and worry and be defeated, or I can go into school and win. Because my strategy is always to win and learn, never to lose. And so that is exactly, Lady Nakia, how I strategically plan for a year.
I love it. I love it.
I need an offering basket.
Listen. That was so good. But you know, and everything she said, everything goes back to the Bible. Many are plans in a man's heart. She just shared what her God plans are. We could have so many plans that we want to do, but if you write the vision and make it plain, you stay on course and you make sure you do what you're called to do. That was amazing. Y'all better be grateful that I videoed this because you're going to have to go back and listen to it again. But there were so many takeaways that you can take and you can apply it. Don't try to be her.
Good.
Be yourself. Don't even compare yourself to her. Oshika's 42 years old. Look how much she accomplished. I'm 60. I'm 60. I'm not where she is. You're not supposed to be because you're not her. So just pull the things out of what she said and apply it to your own life. And don't let anything else settle in, because oftentimes we do that. We do it. We compare ourselves to one another. We look at somebody's successes and we look at it as if it's our defeats.
Yes.
No, pull from her strength. She said, I do this so you don't have to. She did it so you don't. Now, leverage off of where she is and propel. So good. Give Sheikah another round of applause.
Give her an offering. Give her an offering.
I know, right? Give Bishop a hand, too, so he don't feel like we, making sure everybody feel like we're on the equal playing field. We hear from Bishop, and his words are so great. It just, period. There's no but or anything. It just feels good to hear from another voice in the house. You see? Because if y'all don't sound like y'all leader, who else you going to sound like? So she actually owe you an offering, sir. Marcy.
Keeping lights on. Yeah, I already get it offering. I'm grateful.
I love it. I love it. This is so good. Aren't y'all grateful we're having this discussion? I'm so grateful. Marcy, share with us some of the tools that we need in order to prepare for manifested results.
So I don't know why you made me go after the two of them, but okay. So let me I'm going to share a couple of tools that I use for the action plans. It's the same words, like Sheikah, the same words, right? I want to share the importance of tools first. Because as Sheikah talked about, she says she'd take her vision board and create an action. Well, the reason why you need a tool is because we dream a lot of things, so we need to dream it, but the tools help you real life it. Too often we leave it out there in the abyss, but when you use a tool, tools help you create a discernible path to your manifestation. That's the word, right? Sometimes we stumble into victory. No, I can't tell you how I got over if I don't know how I got over. And having a tool of some sort helps you understand. It creates a path. So God does things in threes. He has a process for everything, good, acceptable, perfect, all these things. Well, why don't we follow his plan and have tools so it's discernible, so I can see it, so Shelly can see it? Because it's not enough for me to win. We need to be a community of winners. So if I can't tell you how to get over, then it's just only for me. It's a we win, right? So another reason for tools is because clarity is convincing. When I can see things clearly, I can convince myself to run on and see what the end's going to be. But the clutter is very costly. Confusion is very costly. So tools allow us to be clear on how to get to the thing. I say this often to my team. It is ill-advised to run any race without knowing the direction of the finish line. I'm not saying you need to see the finish line, but you need to know what direction you're going in. Strategy helps you do that, and then the action plans, right? Like the strategy, the vision, and then the tools help you plan it. Tools also, for me, it anchors me on my path. It helps me to focus. It reminds me to keep my word to God. If a part of my plan is to sow into the kingdom, whatever the amounts are that, 10%, that's the base We start there, okay? I'm sorry. I'm not going to get into that. But let me just say this. If the tool, so one of my tools is a budget. You cannot if you're not able to manage what's happening in your life, you can't measure the success of it. So if you don't know what's coming in, what's going out, how are you can't plan to be a blessing to the kingdom, to your family, to your legacy if you don't have an understanding of your money. So a budget, that's my first tool. Now, I go off my budget quite a bit.
It's
and
not a
the Lord is
confession
gonna help
service.
me.
It's
I'm
not a
sorry. Okay,
confession.
thank you. Bring me back. Bring me back. Look, I share a moment of transparency and honesty because my husband back there, and he be like, "Girl, you
then
better
my
tell
husband
the
gonna
truth."
think, yeah.
Right. So listen, but a tool. You see, he recording it himself. He recording it himself. I'm being funny. Okay, back to the point. Back to the point. The tool. I'm sorry. So the tools keep me anchored. And Lady talked about what her word was or her motto was for 2024. And the question that I am answering is, for 2024, who am I outside of survival mode? What does thriving look like for Marcy? What does thriving look like for Team Thompson? What does thriving look like for the children to come? Like, what does that look like? All right, so I want to show you two things in the tool. So the budget, that's one tool. I create an action plan, but I told you I start with reflection.
Wait, before she go on, let's not just rush past that. What does life look like past survival mode? Because many of us, yes, that's so good. Many of us are stuck in survival and don't realize the destination is thriving. So that's so good.
Thriving is the destination. And look, what Bishop say last night? You better say these things. You better say it. I'm thriving in 2024. I'm gonna say it until I believe it. What he say? Sometimes it ain't even the faith. I'm not going. Y'all go back and listen to that prayer from last night. Oh yeah. Okay. So I talked about the first thing that I do before I plan, reflection. So I brought this because we received this at the first gathering of ladies of 2023. Mm-hmm. And so it's the good news jar. And there's quite a few things in here. I covered them so that, because some of it is very personal. But I do reflect. So I say, take time to reflect. I don't mean sit on the sofa one afternoon. Give yourself, your future is worth you taking a day off work, taking a couple of days off work just to center yourself, to be quiet, to your Sabbath. So reflect. Give yourself space, the balance that Bishop was talking about, all those things. Reflect. And then the action plan. If you do vision boards and all that.
I got to hold this the whole time you're talking.
Okay, I'm sorry. If you do I'm sorry. Okay. Well, look, no, that's fine. So. I just want to know. Somebody can, I know. I'm sorry. So, I want to give you an example of the type of action plan I build. I just want to give you a visual because I'm visual. So it is very much what Sheikah explained, in a sense. Oh, okay. Yes, all right. So, oh, you're going to hold it up. Okay, perfect. You can just hold it right there. So that's the action plan. All right, so you can, thank you, Bishop.
Come on, Easel.
Come on. All right, so. See, look at my bishop helping us. You look at my bishop helping us, yes. All right, so what we do with this action plan is I broke it into the 4s, and you can decide what your things are. It could be family in one quadrant, your covenant in another, whatever you do. I said spiritual, financial, professional, and health. Those were the 4 things. And what I do is for each square, I write 3 goals. And this is so aligned. I love God today because it's for the 3 quarters. Because you can't do and plan in the same quarter. So the first 3 quarters of the year, you just take one goal. One of your spiritual goals could be, I want to have family prayer. Well, give yourself a deadline. I want to do that by the end of Q1. What I'm saying is, For each of the goals, you are specific. You know what the benefits are. You need to document the obstacles. You also need to know, who do I need to make this happen?
That's good.
Is it an accountability partner? Do I need an executive coach? Do I need a mentor? Do I need spiritual advisement? Look, spiritual, but you don't have to just call Bishop for spiritual things. You can call him about financial things. You can call him about professional things. I mean, every promotion I've had in my career, in the over 20 years that I've been a member of this church, Bishop spoke it first. So every single promotion that I've had, I'm going to stop right there. I put at the bottom that it's a roadmap, and I put a star there, subject to change.
That's it.
You know why? Because God be Godding, okay?
Because God be guiding.
Okay? All right. So I just wanted to give you a visual of the type of action plan. And look, it'll sprawl out. I didn't put the things on there, but you add your 3, by the time it's going to be crowded, because you're going to have the benefits. You're going to have your accountability partners. But these are the types of tools that I use. I use a calendar. I use a digital one. I use a paper one. I use a wall calendar. I do those things to keep me and to keep my family like we got a family calendar, because I travel a considerable amount for work. So we just figure out what tools you need to make your life and to make your vision, to manifest your the vision that God gave you. How about
So
that?
good.
All right.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Bishop. Yes.
Thank you.
It takes a village. Yes. Yeah. Such profound words today. Such great information that is necessary for what 2024 is requiring of us. In addition to what you heard up here, let's take a second to talk about your attitude. Like, how are you going into 2024? Are you loved? Are you tolerated? Are you appreciated? Are you hard to love? Are you difficult to get along with? Can people look at you and want the God that you serve? What do you look like going into 2024? Do you look like a blessing? We have to have these difficult conversations to produce change. I don't want people to tolerate me in my life. I don't want people to tolerate me on my job. I'm supposed to be a magnet. Are you reflecting that in the grocery store? Because remember, the Bible says you reap what you sow. You wonder why you keep getting hit with bitterness. Are you giving bitterness? Are you giving hardness, and hardness is returning to you? Are you giving chaos, and chaos is returning to you? How are we walking into the new year? Let's self-reflect. And it's okay to draw a hard line in the sand and be like, look, I'm tired of me. These are the areas that I can improve on. I can soften my tone. I can say good morning a little bit more. I can start conversation, not just return it. So we have to self-reflect, not just, oh, hey, Malia. We are giving you tools to propel physically, mentally, spiritually. But only you know what you possess on the inside. Only you know the areas that you need to work on. And if you don't take a second and be real with you, the end result of 2024 is going to be the same result of 2023. Yeah. And I told you before, I am breaking the cycle of here we go again. Like, I've had enough of that. Yeah. So before we do closing remarks, and each of us will have them, and does anyone have any questions or comments that they want to share about what you heard? Ask questions. Yes, sir. Dr. Wright?
While my wife was talking, I was thinking of a word. It was energy. You know, out of everything that we've heard today, the question is, how much energy are you willing to invest in change? What are you reading? If you know that planning is not your gosh, there's probably at least 50 books in my library about planning. Find your why, the tipping point, on and on and on. How much energy are you investing in your change? If you're not investing any energy from self to self for self, I'm trying to answer your question. Then it's redundant to do the same thing and expect different results. So you have to invest your energy in a different way. If, in fact, we measure life by life, everyone in this room will be disappointed. If we measure life by what we deem to be fair, what we deem to be what we deserve, whatever emotion we attach to the measuring tool, we'll come up short every time. The best advice that I would have with that is, through disappointment, I'm looking at what I didn't get. But through grace, I look at what I didn't get. I didn't get the church that God said I'd have just yet. Transparent. But I still preach around the world. So do I need a building or do I need obedience? I didn't get a wheelchair. I didn't get to keep prostate cancer. I didn't get to go insane. So if I look at the fact that your house is bigger than mine and your car is more costly than mine, then I would look at life through the lens of it's not going so good. But if I look at all of the things that I do have, then say it this way. I'm a television guy too. And sometimes to get the right shot you want, you have to change the lens. It's not the camera, it's the lens. Some lenses are for close-up, some lenses you can shoot from here all the way across the street and you see the color of a person's eye. If you change the lens and see that your children are healthy, you're healthy. You didn't spend last night in a shelter. If you change the lens, it'll determine what you see.
That's good, Bishop. Piggybacking off of what Bishop said, I had the honor of teaching a workshop today for the NAACP, and one of the things that they're trying to work through is their bitterness. And I told them today, I was like, bitterness, to hold on to bitterness is a choice. To let it go is freedom. Sometimes the emotion behind it does not change just yet, but it is a choice to let it go. And sometimes you have to let it go with a broken heart. And the grace on letting it go gives you strength that a week from today or a month from tomorrow, you realize the bitterness is not there anymore because you let it go. Yeah. You fill your psyche with all the things that Bishop just talked about that you have to be grateful for and the things that you value in life. And when you look at the things that you have grateful for, they outweigh the things that cause you bitterness. Yeah. And write it down if you have to. I'm mad about this. Some days, let me tell you, in full transparency, I'm pissed about this. But I'm grateful for that.
I can say that word.
No. I said, did I preface it? I should have prefaced it. Sorry.
Woo.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. No.
I felt the moment of freedom. I felt the moment of freedom.
Because listen, you have to use strong words because anger is strong, right? And you
Yeah.
have to address the strong words with strong words. But I promise you, when you write down, because we are visual people, when you write down what you're angry about and you write down what you're grateful about, the gratitude outweighs everything else.
But but ugh. Thank you. I heard mom. I heard you, mom. I heard you. Even with the mask, I heard you. I think that we confuse what she said, the weight of it. We're confusing weight and quantity. You may have 10 things that wounded you, but one act of forgiveness, and you're looking at the one versus the 10, but the one act of forgiveness can erase the 10 things.
Come on, Bishop.
So if you keep counting, my wife had a car accident. Okay, she had an experience at work. I had an experience at work. The kids are tripping at school. Grandma did. You're counting the number of things rather than the weight of grace. And if you put them both on the scale, you win.
Come on now.
You win. Don't count the number. Count the victory.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes,
You-
yes, yes.
She had the car accident, but you picked her up and y'all could go wherever you wanted to. So do we measure the car accident or do we measure, guess how good we've been kept? Yeah. So don't count the number of count that weight. Well, she said the weight of it.
That's good. Do we have any more questions? Yes, Mom? Come on, Mother. Absolutely. Take inventory. That's good. Yes, Mom. Yes. Angie? You said that, Dr. Wright.
I govern my life like my morning shower. I get up, I turn it on. I turn it all on hot water because I want the hot water to come up from the basement. You know, I don't have that new mansion where the hot water, it's got to come up from the basement. You know what I mean? So I don't jump in the water until I first stick my hand in and test it and see if it feels right.
That's good.
So the promise of this great morning experience starts with the test of the temperature. Stick your hand in it. It may be time to jump in there, and it may not be. But it's okay to but the thing that I need you to know is that it's your shower anyway. So it's not going to go nowhere. If it's not time, don't jump in. If it's too cool, don't jump in. If it's too hot, adjust it. If that makes any sense. Yeah, but it's okay to stick your hand in it, and it may not be the moment. Then just let it run.
Yeah. And this is one of the things, and Shika, you can piggyback off of this, but don't ever just jump into anything. Everything worth having has to be strategically planned for. Most people that just jump into something don't have much to lose. When you have a lot to lose, when every decision you make is a risk, then you have to strategically plan for it. It's not just, you're past the time of just jumping in it because you don't have time to waste anymore. So you have whatever that it is, you have to figure it out through planning and prayer and processing. Your just jump in days was in your 20s.
And just to add a little bit to that, of the jumping in, I think about again 5 years ago, and it was, I believe, in the same room. 5 years
It's on.
ago. It's on 5 years ago when I was pushed into destiny, and during that time, it was like, okay, what are you gonna do? And of course, I'm like, I'm gonna trust God. And the chatter was like, oh, she's crazy. She's gonna leave a six-figure and do that. Yeah, I'm gonna trust God. I'm gonna trust God because when preparation meets opportunity, it results in success, right? And you talk about like, when do you know to jump in, right? And so during that time, when I was at that place of trusting God, I didn't know nothing about writing a proposal. I didn't know anything, right? Okay, so I'm sitting there like, okay, Tashika, you sitting here, what you gonna do with what you have, your tools, right, Marcy? And so I said, okay, I'm just gonna take this risk. I'm gonna read, I'm gonna ask questions, I'm gonna do what I need to do to write this one proposal. And when I wrote that one proposal in 2018, it not only evolved now into that one proposal, it's now like 6 proposals, right? And now not just taking it nationally, but internationally. But if I never got in the shower to test it out, I would have never knew where it could take me. And you have to test it out. And so I just wanted to, she's like, you can piggyback. I just wanted to add that example because I was at a point too, like, okay, I was still on Indeed, looking for stuff, doing stuff, went on interviews, nobody was giving me answers. So I had to jump in and I had to take that one and then continue to build on it and going back to taking inventory and reflecting on what made this work and how can I build. And then each quarter I said, okay, this time I want to now have 2 contracts. And this time I want to, by next year, I want 20, no, by next year I already got employee, but I want to have employees, right? And so you think about it, and that's how you continue to build upon just jumping in and testing that shower out.
For those that might be watching, let me just be clear because the shower illustration should have been clear enough. If you're a forward thinker, you get it. How do you test it? That's an abstract. You read, you find you find the statistics, you find people that've been there, you find the others. Okay, you have to invest your time and your suke or your soul, your mind. If you don't invest your mind properly, then it's not going to work. One of the things that used to be in America, it's on the dollar. They put in God we trust. But if you do your history correctly, that wasn't always on the dollar. The dollar when God we trust used to say, mind your business. Yeah. It wasn't that you better go mind your business. It said that's what money is. Money is when you mind your business.
Come on, lessons. And we'll have time for 2 more questions, and then we'll do our wrap up. I hope that Tashika does not get upset with me when I say this, but when she was going through her transition, and she was offered a position which was dramatically less than what she made, she could have taken that position, but she knew her worth. When you know your worth, you won't accept just anything. The unknown is very scary, but when you know your value in unknown, failure is not even an option. So she knew her value, which helped her get to where she is today. Don't ever sell yourself short. Know that you are an asset to whatever you are. And the reason why businesses are open and contracts are coming and doors are not closing, because you are there. Look at yourself as the value of wherever you are, they are because I'm here.
Yes. Absolutely. Yes, that's good.
Twin, you have something you want to say? I'm going to start it, and then Marcy, you piggyback off of it. First of all, if God put the idea in you, he can afford it. Second of all, as you're strategically planning, look at those who did what it is that you want to do. It may not be exactly what it is, but the Bible said there's nothing new underneath the sun, which means somebody has already done it. Trace their steps and get a mentor. Ms. Marcy or Sheikah, someone said it, get somebody who can take your hand and guide you through the process of places you've never been before. One of the greatest things I have in my life is an accountability system. In every area of my life, I have accountability partners. Find one that'll help you, keep you accountable, and then help you go through it to see it through to the end. But you don't have enough time to figure it out by yourself. Get somebody who's already done it. Marcy?
So, just to everything that Lady said, and I will say also seek out sort of, Sheikah says something about your network. Who you have in your life, the people you have, there are very specific people in my life for specific things. And your network is very powerful. And I say maybe seek out, I'm going to use this term, this is not what I mean, but like an inventors group. Like start rubbing elbows with other inventors. You don't have to share your plan, but get in the room. Because the thing that I have disliked the most in my career is small talk and networking. But you know what I did? Elder D was like, what you want for your birthday? I was like, a book, The Art of Small Talk. Like I'm reading on how to be better in the rooms that I don't like. And I say, put yourself in place in, I'm going to tell you the thing that stimulates innovation is the stretch. Like we are innovative most times because we have to be, because the solution isn't there or whatever. So get around, find an inventors group. I promise you, you can Google it. You can go on Eventbrite. You can go on Facebook. Find a group of people who are doing quirky things, because often the groups have resources. Like, and it just opens your mind to things, opportunities. It gives you access. Like a lot of times we need access for manifestation. So you have the idea, but you haven't connected with the right person or the right funder. Because bishops say it all the time, all you need is one yes. But sometimes you got to be in a group of people to find the yes, or to you got to be. Sometimes I have been too stubborn to be positioned in the right place. And so don't be, just try new things. I mean, listen, I have taken assignments that I've hated, and you know what it did? It got me seen by the right person. And so just get on committees at your job. Like whenever they planning a holiday party or whenever they planning, like do those things, because you never know what being in a new place, who it will connect you to. So that I'll say, just expand your network.
Good. That's very, very good. Yes, Ma, then Tashia, then Brenda, and then wrap up, because I want to take, I don't want to take advantage of your time. Yes, Ma? Excellent, excellent. Tashia? Marcy, let's go back. I'm going to get you to answer that. Go back to, yeah, that makes sense. Let's go back to this, and I'll start. No. Actually, yes, you are polling the room. Yeah, you are. No, you are. And this is where, and listen, they get it from their mother. Yeah, this is it. But this is the thing right here. This is why we're having this moment. Go ahead. So let me just, I'm just start, Marcy, and you can pick up. Bishop going to conclude all of us, wrap it all up in with a bow. First of all, if you want to succeed, you have to plan. And the way to start is we've provided a base. This is why we're here. 90% of the people in this room are not planners. You just go with the flow. And however it typically happens, you're reactive and not proactive. These moments are helping you to be proactive. You start with a plan. Literally, start with a chart and say, these are the things that God put in your heart 10 years ago, and you've done nothing with it. You have to start somewhere. And listen, you can get by with just doing stuff at the last minute because it's in you to do. God equipped you to just be able to put it together. But you created sons that's not as quick on their feet, and they do it, and sometimes they're not as successful as they could be had they planned. So you have to produce a model within yourself and force yourself to stick to it. The Bible is our blueprint, and the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain. What we provided today was an avenue for you to just start writing the vision and start with the major areas of your life: spiritual, financial, professional, physical, and you do have the time to do it. And just because you've done this way all your life does not mean that you don't begin a new year new. If you want to stop getting the same results, stop doing the same things. Marcy, you were going to say something?
So this is the hard thing that I'm going to say. It's arrogant to think that you have time. It is arrogant to think that you can squander the time that God is giving you. And planning gives God something to work with. It also creates a discernible path. I can look at your life, but if you wait to the last minute, I don't even get an opportunity to pull from your life. And so much of what's happening right now is everybody wants the quick fix. No, you need to see the steps it took. I might look good today, but it was hard to get here. And look, stop selling people the shortcut. That's why planning matters. Because it proves that there is no shortcut. And look, God is a God of patterns. Why can't we do that? But stop thinking that you have time. Your legacy matters. And if you don't properly plan, I'm watching a lot of people just, it's been said a lot of times, the most inventive, the most creativity, you know where it is? In the graveyard. Because people don't run out of ideas, they run out of time.
That's good, Marcy.
And so you don't run out of creativity, you're running out of time. And look, the thing is, it's not just for you, Ta. It's for your granddaughter.
Yeah.
It's for your grandsons. It's for the people that you're mentoring. There is a price for our inaction. So when you don't do the thing on time, when you're not in place, it's going to be a penalty. Somebody going to pay for it. Look, you might not pay for it, but your granddaughter might. I'm just saying, there is a price to inaction. Look, the child that you're supposed to influence in the school, because you didn't teach the teacher, she missed the moment. I'm just saying, it's a ripple effect to every choice we make. And there is a price for our inaction. And so that's my motivation. And I say this about motivation. It's like a shower. You need to apply it every day. Whatever you need to do to keep yourself going, to keep yourself disciplined. And look, God know how to get your attention. You do it yourself before he gets your attention.
That's it. That's good. Bishop, did you want to add something to it?
A little bit. I do. I think I hear what Tasha is saying from a different side of the fence. I get not being able to plan, because when I was coming up on the spiritual side, I would hear preachers say, Jeremiah 18:32 says, and Matthew 12:35 says, and I could never remember like that. I didn't learn like that. To this day, I appreciate everything that they've said. And in the interest of transparency, I don't do none of that. Because I personally, it's not an excuse, I personally don't learn that away. I don't learn that away. But it's no excuse not to learn it. So, I do everything on that board. I just don't plan it out. I have a vision. I understand the finances. I understand the level of commitment. I understand the time. But to write it out doesn't make sense to me. It has to be, for me, it has to be a visual. For me. And so that's why I say earlier, I read between the lines. So if God's going to talk to me about David and Goliath, then I see Goliath over here and all of the Philistines behind him, and I see Saul, and I see David's brothers right here, and then I see David coming up because he's got the lunch, and then I see the valley in between, and it's like, oh, that's the whole story. I see the whole story, so it's easy for me to see David and Goliath because so I could see between the lines. So I do make plans. I got plans for the new church, and I got plans for the TV ministry. I got plans, for outreach, and I got plans how we're gonna feed, and I got plans, but I learn differently. Yes. But it's not the absence of planning. You still have to plan, because if you don't plan to succeed, you just plan to fail. So you still have to. So you may learn differently, but it's not a pass not to be involved mentally in your future. And so I totally agree with all that. And I look at these two. My wife is good at it. She got journals all over the house, and I'm envious. Well, God bless. and no, I wished I could. I wished I learned like that, but I don't. If I don't read it, if I don't do it, if I don't see it, then I don't get it. Now, I'm looking at all that, and that's like so cool. I'm listening, and I got to go back and listen to all the things you said, and I tell you what, so I can't remember all that you said. You said a whole lot. And man, and then my wife, and she's got all these little acronyms and all like that, and I'm like, okay, what's for dinner? Yeah, but you do have to plan. So if I'm teaching something, anything, the prologue of John or the Decalogue or the book of Revelations, I have to, in my head, I have to see the continuity of it. And that's what the vision board is. See the continuity of it. So figure out how you learn, but don't figure out how to be lazy.
That's it. That's very, very good.
Disallow difference to be pause.
That's good, Bishop.
Don't let different be pause. Thank you.
Amen. Brenda, you wanted to say something?
I want to do that. I want to do that. I do.
I want him to want to do that too. Because listen, in full transparency, when you're married to someone who plans in their head, like that is probably one of the points of frustration in our marriage. I just want to see it. Just say, oh my God. And he was just like, I got it. But when I'm this and he's that, that's an area that you have to learn to work through in your life. And you have to figure out how in marriages and relationships, whether it's coworkers, employees, how to figure out how to work with someone who plans like.
What time are we leaving to go to church, honey, when we get dressed? What time are we leaving when I get dressed? Well, what time is that going to be?
What time should I be ready?
Yeah, for her, it's a 2:17. And for me, it's when I get ready. But I know it starts at 3 o'clock. So what's the difference between 2:17 and 2:25? The way she sees it.
Good.
So you have to honor that.
Yeah.
If you're not, I mean, if you're driving, you don't. But
Brenda. Brenda. Let me tell you something. I do, and I'll let Bishop piggyback on it. One of the greatest lessons we learned from Trump is that he became president at 72 years old. Look at Biden. There's no expiration on ideas, as Marcy said. But the one thing that I will tell you is, because I do know about your idea, you shared it with me, is that there's a gap in the earth with what you are possessing. To me, God gave you that because it does not exist. So God is not going to put that in you because you didn't see it. He had to give it to you. So that's how you know that it is God. Everyone who's rich, from Uber to Apple, there was a need in the earth. They've solved a problem, and that's what made them rich. Your business model solves a problem, and it's going to make us rich. What you waiting for?
please hurry.
So the one thing that you have to just get out your head is you're not too old. That was a God idea because there's a gap in the earth. He called you to fill it. Let's go. Let's go.
Add one thing to what you said, because when you said that voice just kept saying trust God. When I was going, we talked about this, right? The process, right? You got to be committed. Your work got to be committed, but you got to be committed to the process too, right? And it's just a series of events to get that particular end. And the whole time when I was going through that, I was actually sharing this with Angie this morning. The whole time I was going through what I was going through, when I, was trusting God of this change of just, okay, it's time for me to walk in what God had planned for me from originally, even before I entered into my mother's womb. That the whole time God kept saying, just trust me, it's worth it all. The tax, trust me, it's worth it all. The loss, trust me, and it was many loss, it's worth it all. Losing your mind, it's worth it all. All of this is worth it all because it's going to bring you to that expectant end. And the whole time I kept hearing God say that on the floor, crying, wailing, just, like I can't take anymore. This pressure, it continues, but pressure comes to make you stronger, right? And so I'm going through all of this the whole time where God just keeps saying, just trust me. It's worth it all. And when I look back over where he brought me from, my soul cries out and wonder how I made it over. And it was through the trust, because that day when I said, yes, Lord, it yielded all of these things that I'm walking in. And so now I go back to what that trust was. That your trust, I think you said this, Bishop, one time, that our trust moves God. That my trust moved God. And so if you said that voice, yeah, it's God. Just trust him because it's worth it all.
Yeah, Bishop actually said it last night. He said it wasn't my faith that moved me most of the time. It was my trust. That is the truth. Well, can you give the panel a round of applause? This has been so great. Thank you for sharing your wisdom, your expertise, your vulnerabilities. Thank you for being transparent. Thank you for being open. And thank you for being here to listen. It is our hope that you walk away with something to actually apply. It's on Restream. It's on YouTube. Go back and listen to it over and over again. And I hope that this challenges you to not go into the new year as business as usual. Step outside of your comfort zone. Greatness is found outside of comfort. Step outside of your comfort zone. and destine yourself to be a success, and don't give yourself options. And you're not too old to grow. You're not too old to learn. You're not too young. You are too young to say, I still got time. You don't have no more time. Now is your time. Activate your now and see where it takes you. In November, I'm saying to all of you, because I believe it's going to be so, happy 2024. All right. Have a great afternoon.